We're almost there.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the Getting Started with Girls Who Code webinar. My name is Beth Yates. I'm the Children's Consultant at the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office, and I'll be your host today. Our presenter today is Kibret Yebetit. Yebetit. Did I say that right? A Senior Manager of Community Partnerships and Outreach at Girls Who Code. A few announcements for you. First of all, to register for other webinars or other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please see the Indiana State Library's events calendar, which can be found on our website at www.in.gov/library, and then it's under Services for Libraries. This session is approximately 1 hour, so you're eligible to receive 1 LEU for this presentation. And if you're watching it as a recording, instructions on how to obtain your LEU are in the video's description on YouTube. Or you can also find those instructions on the Indiana State Library's continuing education site under LEU policies. But in short, when you watch a recording, someone in administration at your library should create a certificate for you, as they're the ones who can verify that you watched. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Again, our presenter today is Kibret from Girls Who Code. So please take it away, Kibret.
Thank you for that introduction, Beth. I really appreciate it, and I'm so thrilled to be here today. Thank you all for joining this session. I am excited to share more about our free Girls Who Code programming, and the goal of this session is that you walk away knowing how to bring our free curriculum to your library. Before we get started, I wanted to share that if you're interested in receiving a copy of the slide deck via email after the session, please just sign up at that bit.ly link on the screen and in the chat. I'm happy to email that to you right after this today if that's helpful. So with that, just to reintroduce myself, my name is Kibret Yebetit, and I am a Senior Manager of Community Partnerships and Outreach at Girls Who Code. That means that I have the pleasure of working with educators, nonprofits, and libraries to launch Girls Who Code clubs across the country. It also means that you can reach out to me with questions after today's session because I manage our partnerships and clubs presence across the state. Let's take a quick moment to review what you can expect to learn today. I'm going to start off by sharing who we are at Girls Who Code and our movement to close the gender gap in tech. You will hear a lot about the gender gap in tech. I think you'll be experts by the time we end today's session. Today, I'll focus on discussing our largest program, our clubs program. We do have others that I'm happy to share more about, but today's session will be largely focused on how to start a club. And then finally, I'll share how to get started, detailed next steps, and share any links and resources that help you access our curriculum. I will make time for questions at the end, but I'm happy to answer questions along the way. So as Beth said, please make sure to put those in the chat and make sure that they're visible to everyone. With that, let's get started. I think it's always helpful to start at the basics of what exactly we are trying to teach our students. What is coding? What does that mean? The simplest way to describe it is really learning a language, writing commands to instruct a computer to do something in a programming language it can understand. I think that when we frame it this way, it helps to remind our students and ourselves in these programs that this doesn't happen overnight. It takes resilience and bravery, and that it's best done working with others and practicing. If you wanted to learn Spanish, you would not assume that you could learn it in one session. It would not be something that would happen overnight. And I think adapting that mindset for coding is very helpful. It is learning a language, a way to speak, and it takes a lot of time. We believe that coding is a great way to teach students valuable life skills, even outside of the technical skills they're gaining. It's an endless process of trial and error to try to get the right code in the right place, and something as simple as 1 comma in the wrong place can throw off an entire code. It really requires resilience, and it necessitates imperfection. And as students work through these challenges, they learn that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's actually part of the process, and to embrace those mistakes as learning opportunities. There are currently over 500,000 open computing jobs right now that are waiting to be filled, but there are less than 80,000 computer science graduates in the United States each year. Plus, computer science jobs average a salary of over $100,000. This means that computer science education can really provide transformative socioeconomic pathways for students who pursue this field. And as I said, the skills developed when learning to code are highly flexible. So CS is not just for folks working in traditional big tech companies. In fact, 67% of computing jobs are actually in non-tech industries like fashion, arts, entertainment, medicine, and more. Not to mention, building apps, websites, and programs can serve as a powerful tool to combine passions. Students can walk into our programs being really passionate about music, and they can find a way to pair that with the coding skills that they learn. These types of jobs also tend to offer more flexibility where you work, which is increasingly important for folks. They can be found anywhere across the country or the world, and of course, they can be done remotely. Yet, even with all of these exciting opportunities and cool avenues, not everyone has always been included. Today, only 24% of tech employees are women. I'll repeat that because I think that number is staggering. Only 24% of tech employees are women. And that's compared to 37% in 1995. And the number is actually predicted to decline by 2025. Currently, only 19% of students who receive degrees in computing are women. Oops. And only 2% are women of color. When we think about building products and programs that we all consume, we need to make sure that more voices are heard to make these innovations the best that they can be. How can we build innovative products in tech, services in tech, without the input of women? When we leave women out of these economic opportunities, we miss out on all of their talents and innovation and diverse thought. We need women in this field to help build a better tech industry. Taking a closer look at Indiana specifically, we can definitely see how national trends are also happening at a smaller scale. When we think about early exposure to computer science education and the importance of that early exposure, we know that this needs to happen at the middle and high school level at the latest to get students interested in pursuing this as a college major or as a post-college career. In Indiana, only 124 high schools offer AP computer science to students. So that means only 2,980 CS exams were taken across the state in 1 year. And of those students, only 24% of those AP CS exams were taken by female students. So we can see the same frustration and the same kind of staggering gender gap that we see at the national level, even at the education level for CS. We are on a mission to close this gender gap through our free programming. We offer free computer science programs that inspire and educate and equip young women and non-binary individuals with the skills that they need to pursue 21st century opportunities. We offer programs for students in grades 3 to 12, as well as college and career programs. Our vision is really to build a pipeline of technologists. We want to send more young women and non-binary individuals into the tech workforce, achieve gender parity in entry-level tech jobs by 2030. It's ambitious, it's very ambitious, but with your help, we can achieve it. And we know that early exposure to computer science opportunities have long-term impacts. We've seen that as an organization that's about 10 years old. We have almost 200,000 college and post-college age alums. So these alums we've seen are earning computer science and related degrees at 7 times the national average. That's really encouraging when we consider that these are after-school programs and are not necessarily full-day experiences like they have at school, and it's made such an impact on these young girls and non-binary students already. Especially for our 6th through 12th grade club participants, so that middle and high school level, we see incredible gains in computer science skills, career awareness, and awareness of contributions of women in tech, which I'll touch on as part of our curriculum. Now that we know the problem we're trying to solve, the gender gap in tech, let's talk about what it means to start a Girls Who Code club at your library and how you are helping solve that problem. What is a club? What do I mean when I say Girls Who Code clubs? Girls Who Code clubs are essentially free programs for 3rd to 12th graders of all genders and skill levels that can be used in a variety of settings like schools, libraries, of course, community centers, and other nonprofits. Designed by expert educators, clubs prepare young learners through project-based activities and complementary resources. We at Girls Who Code really believe that all girls and gender nonconforming young people can change their communities and change the world through code. And we aim to serve all of them, especially those who are underrepresented in computer science. We're really proud to say that 53% of program participants come from what we call historically underrepresented groups. So not only are we trying to address the gender gap in tech, we are also trying to up that percentage of women of color who are also part of the field. And although sisterhood is a huge part of our work at Girls Who Code, our clubs program welcomes members of all genders. So if you're thinking to yourself, I like the idea of it being girls focused and helping young girls get into this industry, but it might be hard to run programming that's just for girls at your library, rest assured that boys are more than welcome to join programs. We have seen so many successful co-ed clubs, and young boys can definitely be allies and help close the gender gap as well. Our clubs program content is rooted in an educational philosophy that we define with 3 central pillars. The first, more than code, means that clubs go beyond computer programming. They go beyond the technical skills to support a culture of bravery and confidence building. Our clubs curriculum hones young people's computational thinking, problem-solving ability, and creativity. So clubs also empower members to just be brave and take risks and build resiliency and a growth mindset where they think of mistakes as opportunities to tackle challenges in tech, but also to tackle challenges in other fields. The second pillar is sisterhood. We really do want to create safe environments where members know that they belong. Members feel supported through an emphasis on community and diverse representation in the club's curriculum. Sisterhood activities strengthen social emotional development, and our Girls Who Code Tech spotlights on diverse tech innovators change the image of what a programmer looks like and does. Plus, once someone joins our supportive and diverse sisterhood, they are a member for life with access to a network ready and excited to offer community and career support. I always say this to students and folks who are interested in starting clubs, that truly once you join, you are with us. We will not stop emailing you opportunities until you ask us to. We really do want to support these students beyond what might be a semester or year-long participation in one of our programs. We really want to stay in touch with them. We connect them at the college level with other CS majors, and we connect them to our corporate partners for job opportunities. So that image I had earlier on with that pipeline of all the programs that we have, our ideal situation is someone starts with us at our youngest level and goes through the entire process through college and career. Finally, the third pillar is real world relevance and impact, and club members get to show how they can use their computer science skills to change their world. And we empower them to use these CS skills no matter what they want to accomplish. So again, the goal is not necessarily for every student in a club to become a software developer, but instead to find ways to apply coding skills and greater technology to whatever they're interested in. And I can say from experiences participating in some of these clubs that students often teach us how we can use coding in different ways. Obviously, we know that young people are online, on their phones, definitely know tech better than all of us, but it's always really inspiring to see the different applications that they're most passionate about. So I encourage folks to think of this coding club as really a space for students to take coding skills and apply them however they see fit. To cater to unique learning needs and different students and age groups, we've divided our 3rd through 12th grade curriculum into 2 parts. So the first is 3rd through 5th grade clubs, and the second is 6th through 12th grade clubs. So just trying to create a little bit of differentiation between how you teach elementary school students how to code and how you teach 6th through 12th graders how to code. The 3rd through 5th grade program follows a book club model that teaches beginner level concepts with the option of completing unplugged or online challenges in Scratch. after reading chapters in our nonfiction and fiction books. So I hope that's something that is particularly of interest to this group. We love when 3rd through 5th grade clubs are hosted at libraries because, first of all, 3rd through 5th graders do not have a ton of other opportunities to do coding education. Often at school, they have a version of some sort of block code, but having a space at a library, either using our books or doing it online, is really, really impactful. And like I said, it can be done completely offline. You can just have the books at your library and go through the story that reinforces some of these beginner level concepts. So that's one option for the elementary age students. Meanwhile, the 6th through 12th grade program teaches computer science concepts of all difficulty levels through a flexible plug-and-play curriculum. And this is key, self-guided tutorials. So there is a lot of emphasis on the curriculum to be self-guided. There's a lot of resources, video guidance to help students not only understand and follow along during sessions, but also to access this material outside of the in-person or virtual club experience. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. So while a typical club meets 1 to 2 hours for 10 or more sessions during the year, clubs can be structured to fit your schedule. So if you're looking at 10 plus sessions, 5 plus sessions, and you're thinking, I don't know if we would coordinate it that way, where it was a weekly club, that is no problem. We have seen lots of clubs, and especially those at libraries, change this into a more like eventized club experience, where maybe you're doing this once a month. Maybe you're pairing our curriculum with other STEM programming that you have. There is no wrong way to have a Girls Who Code club, and we are certainly not super prescriptive in that way. We really just want you to be able to share the curriculum with as many students as possible. So if that means hosting a 1-hour session every week, that's great. If that means hosting a 1-day STEM session once a month on a Saturday, that works too. So certainly don't let these suggestions keep you from thinking that you can do it your way. The main focus for the 3rd through 5th grade clubs is developing bravery and confidence in computer science skills. Each 3rd through 5th grade meeting club consists of 3 main parts, and all of these parts are outlined in the curriculum. They're already pre-prepared for you. The first is an optional community building sisterhood activity that starts the meeting. And these activities are a hit with students. Typically, these clubs are held after school, so they're really just a non-coding activity that helps excite students, get them ready for this hour or so ahead of them. And it's just a fun way for students to get to know each other, especially if they don't all go to the same school or come from the same area, and they're meeting at a library here from different parts of the city. Then club members dive into guided lesson plans centered on Girls Who Code books. So those 2 books are Learn to Code and Change the World and The Friendship Code. It's possible some of you may already have these books at your libraries. Please let me know if you do and if you're familiar with them. But those are the books that teach the fundamentals of our 3rd through 5th grade coding curriculum. Alongside that, we have online coding challenges in Scratch, which is an online block coding website. And that complements the reading. So the students can read a chapter in this really fun fiction book, and then they can go online and do a corresponding activity that lines up with the lesson that they just learned in the book. And then finally, each meeting ends with a wrap up. This is an opportunity for reflection and feedback to nurture, again, what we call that growth mindset, where maybe you made some mistakes today, maybe you didn't understand some concepts. That's fine. Share that out in the wrap up, and let's talk about what we're going to work on next time. And that's a practice we've taken directly from software developers. They do stand-ups, wrap-ups at the end of their days after they worked on a lot of coding. So we want to build that habit young, but also it's a fantastic opportunity for you as the facilitator of this club to understand where the challenges are, where your students are in terms of their learning, and what they're most excited about. The 6th through 12th grade curriculum is structured really similarly, starting with a welcome and sisterhood activity and ending with the wrap-up. The key differences include our Girls Who Code tech spotlights and the Learn to Code activities. So the Girls Who Code tech spotlights on diverse tech innovators are designed to change the image of what a programmer looks like and does for young learners. Too often, if you start your club session and ask students, what is coding? Who is a coder? What does a coder look like? They really do describe this kind of typical, like man in a hoodie at a computer typing away. And I think that that's the image that we are all taught from media and just like history. And I think that our curriculum really provides a lot of supplementary material to help students understand that so many people are coders these days. So many women are coding, and just because we don't know their names or they're not elevated doesn't mean that we can't learn about them and their accomplishments. And so this tech spotlight feature of the 6th through 12th grade curriculum is not an activity, it's not really a coding instruction, but really an opportunity to take 5 minutes to watch a video, watch or listen to a biography, and talk about a woman who is doing something in tech that we did not know about. And these women range in terms of fields and contributions and diversity, so that really any student who's in your club can see someone who is similar to them and see an accomplishment or something that they pursued. And we find that this is a really exciting part of the curriculum. Students really enjoy it, but it's also the thing that lingers with students most, right? They end up going to the websites of those women that we highlight in the tech spotlights and learning more. And it really, really can be a source of inspiration. So that's a key difference between the curriculum that the older students get to tackle, and it's a really exciting part of the curriculum. Besides that, the 6th through 12th grade club members work through learn to code activities to hone those actual technical coding skills in programming languages, including HTML and CSS, JavaScript, Python, and Swift from Apple. So I don't know if folks here are familiar with some of these coding languages, but it is a really good diverse range, and it can help students who are interested in one area or another decide which programming language actually suits them best and what they're most interested in pursuing. Those learn to code activities include videos and text-based instructions to guide your club members to explore game design, web development, creative coding, cybersecurity, data science, AI. They offer a range of difficulty levels for beginners to more advanced learners. And I want to call that out specifically for the older students. At the 6th through 12th grade level, that doesn't mean that, typically a 6th or 12th grade club is either hosted at a middle school or a high school, but with a library setting, we know that you can get students of various ages. So the 6th through 12th grade curriculum is appropriate for truly anyone who is in 6th through 12th grade, but of course you might have high schoolers who have a little computer science experience. That is fine. They can jump directly into some of our more advanced material. And in fact, we often encourage folks who have group members of various skill sets or various skill levels rather to help and maybe lead some of the club. If there's a student in your club who's a great coder, definitely lean on them to kind of guide students through the process, because that can also be really encouraging and inspiring for other club members. So rest assured, if you have anyone at the middle or high school level who walks in and wants to join this club, it's an appropriate level for them. And then finally, club members get to choose their own learning pathway individually or as a group based on that programming language and the project theme and their skill level. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of customize this experience based on what they already know. And finally, it's good to know that these club activities meet the CSTA, so that's the Computer Science Association, K through 12 computer science standards. So I know this is not a school setting, and so maybe that feels not necessarily as relevant, but it's important to know that because you can tell your students that, hey, this actually is in line with what you would be learning at school anyway, and can be a really fantastic supplement to any other coding education that you're getting. I'm going to pause 1 second and just look at a question in the chat. You know, that's a great call out, Amanda. I appreciate you naming that. Your question is about thinking about how many men versus women are applying or showing interest in coding and tech. I don't have hard data for you on that, but I do know just anecdotally that something our facilitators and computer science educators at the college level have shared with us is this is an interesting anecdote. If a male student in a coding class has a problem, they tended to frame it as, hey, there's something wrong with my code. when female students would come to those same office hours with their TAs or their professors, they would say, I think there's something wrong with me. I think I don't get it. And that's something, a piece of feedback to me that was really powerful, because I think it illustrates the larger issue where it's not just that women may not have the technical coding skills, but it's really about the environment and the other, are often called soft skills that help you be successful in this industry. So it's possible that there are less women, applying for these roles, but I think the greater challenge is just helping women feel confident enough to pursue these opportunities and to not feel like this is a space they don't belong in. So I really appreciate that call out, and it's definitely something for us to think about and work backwards and think about how we can help young girls and non-binary students get ahead of that, confidence gap. Yeah, of course. No, I love the call out. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about the program and the details, and I can dive into that more in a moment as well. But I think it's helpful to just see a little bit of how a club has been run and what a club has produced. Club students are always impressing us. We are always inspired by their projects and how they use code practically to change things in their community. So I wanted to highlight just one example of one of our club members doing incredible work with the coding skills that they learned in our curriculum. So let's meet this facilitator and members of Girls Who Code Middle School Club in Texas, who use coding to support their community after Hurricane Harvey.
We've been talking a lot about recovering from the emotional trauma of the storm, but what a unique group of students from an all-female coding club took their programming skills and turned it into a way to help their classmates recover from the storm. KPRC2's Christine Noel has that story.
This is the strongest storm to hit the Texas coast since Carla in 1961.
I remember feeling nervous as I watched the news report about the rain.
I had to evacuate from my home.
My neighborhood flooded and we were stuck in our house for a week.
Memories shared through an app.
I remember that we didn't know where to go because
an app created by a pair of middle schoolers.
Me and my mom slept in a closet.
I couldn't talk to anyone. I was scared.
I remember feeling really scared at the time.
Tracy and Raina began looking for a way to help.
A week before, we'd just gone to our first Code for Change informational meeting, and then the next meeting happens to be after Hurricane Harvey, and that's when it really hit us. This is a perfect platform for us to do something.
One thing I've learned as a teacher is that kids are really passionate about their community.
Emily Gray is one of the sponsors of the Girls Coding Club at Sartarsha Middle School.
The girls came to me and said, we want to help children that were affected by Hurricane Harvey. And so we kind of searched different nonprofits.
We came in contact with Children at Risk, and they were like, yes, we would love to be a part of your project.
Our app is called Say Stories About You, and it's a disaster relief app that focuses on giving children a platform.
So you just select the disaster that you were a part of.
It provides a really therapeutic environment for children to share their stories.
Thanks to the partnership with Children at Risk, resources are also offered.
We also have a donations page.
2 years after Tracy and Raina began coding in middle school, their skills and desire to help others are only getting stronger. They're now in high school, developing a new speech therapy app while growing the Say app even more.
Another feature we're going to add is going to be where you can draw your story for younger kids.
They're coding for a cause, hoping to improve lives.
We're just glad that we did everything that we could to help.
I love that example. I think that it is honestly so inspiring, but also so telling that students are really thinking big. Like, we are always surprised by the projects that students produce. You might think that they're just interested in like building games and things that are kind of fun that they can play with. But honestly, they're always thinking about how to create an app that can help them, how to create an app that can solve a problem, how they can build a website as a resource. Other clubs have built things like anti-bullying resources because they felt like bullying was a big issue at their school. And it's just very encouraging to know and see examples of students directly and immediately applying the skills they learned. I mean, this club had one meeting and then a hurricane hit, and the next meeting they immediately started to think about how they could help. So just something to think about, because I know that Oftentimes there can be a confidence gap even for us as the folks who want to lead these clubs, but truly the students really do a lot of the heavy lifting and they take on, way more than even the curriculum asks them. So just wanted to share, I think that that's a really good club experience. I also want to name that this year, Girls Who Code has really focused and honed in on its commitment to innovation and staying at the forefront of technology. So we are introducing exciting options in our curriculum with a focus on artificial intelligence. We know that there is an AI boom, there is so much interest in it, and it's genuinely changing the way that technology is working, but specifically how coding languages work. So we definitely want to stay ahead of that and make sure that we're helping students prepare for the world they're actually entering. So in response to this, ever-evolving landscape, the new curriculum additions emphasize hands-on learning experiences, allowing participants to explore cutting-edge AI concepts and applications. And through these projects, students gain insight into machine learning, deep learning, data science, computer vision, among other AI domains. And at this time, we have Shape Sorter, Swift Virtual Assistant app, and AI art competition that are already available. And truly, no worries if some of these terms are going over your head. I promise that the curriculum and the self-guided tutorials really break down not only how to help your students understand these concepts, but what this means for us in a practical, the practical technology world. So this year we'll launch over 10 new short form learn to code activities. They're embedded in the curriculum. They're nothing that you need to search on your own. It's all in that curriculum. Clubs are designed so that anyone can start a club, and I really mean anyone as long as they're at a nonprofit site. So typically our clubs are held at schools and led by educators, but sometimes they're held at a community center and they're run by a parent. Obviously, they're also run at libraries, either by a librarian or someone else who volunteers and comes in and just uses the library as a site. So there's a lot of different configurations for how a club can be run. So please do keep that in mind as you're thinking about current programming you already have and maybe how this club could just kind of be embedded or how to have a standalone program on its own. And all you need to start a club is that nonprofit host site. So the only place that you can't run a club is a for-profit business or in someone's home. It just has to be at a school, community center, church, any religious or house of faith, and of course, library networks, which I think are actually fantastic supplement when schools don't have, CS education locally. You can rely on Girls Who Code for that unplugged option for the 3rd through 5th graders. So you can just purchase the books and bring them to your library so you don't have to worry about technology for younger students. But technology and internet connection are required for those older students. So if you want to start a club for 6th through 12th graders, they will need to access a desktop, a laptop, PCs, Macs, Chromebooks are all fine. iPads are also an option, but can only be used for our beginner self-guided tutorials in the coding language Swift because it was designed by Apple. And finally, every club needs to have a facilitator. So just an adult who is running the club and will attend the sessions. This is the person who can complete our club application. The application is very brief and it is a misnomer because anyone can start a club. It just asks for some information about where it's going to be hosted and which curriculum you want access to. So it's a very simple process. Facilitators must be 18 or older and pass a background check if they are not an employee of the host site. So I imagine obviously everyone here works for their library site. So if you were the one facilitating the club, that would be no problem. You wouldn't have to go through that process. But if someone was coming in and using the library, but they would run the club and they're not employed there, we would prompt them to do the background check when they submit the club application. So on the application, it'll ask, is the facilitator, someone who works there? And if you say yes, it's all good and you will probably get approval very quickly. And if not, then we just need to do that process before we get you access to the curriculum. And as you start to think about who might facilitate the club, it can be helpful to know that club facilitators come from a real variety of diverse roles. You do not need to have any coding experience yourself. That is really important to note. In fact, the majority of club facilitators don't. It doesn't always work out that like the CS teacher, or like is the one who starts the club. Oftentimes we have folks who have never done coding themselves, deciding to run the club just because they know this is a good experience for their students. And because it doesn't have to be something that's regularly scheduled, it could also just be something that is just an evergreen resource that's available at the library. You can just have, the curriculum available on a computer, and students who want to peruse it and come in can do that and ask questions. You can really set that up so that it fits your programming and your specific library best. When you start your free club, you'll unlock webinar training, facilitation guides, and templates to support your club's success. So I always like to say, if you have a place, if you have students and you have someone who's willing to lead the club sessions, we provide everything else. There is not one other thing that you need to work on. We will provide everything you need to get started in that curriculum. And you don't need to have looked at code before. You can pair it up so that there are 2 facilitators if this is something that would be easier as a shared responsibility across librarians or across your staff. That is totally fine. You will also be paired with a dedicated regional retention specialist. So this is someone on the Girls Who Code team to provide live help, including Girls Who Code HQ. That's our learning platform. It's our website. You can have HQ orientations done by this support specialist and curriculum walkthroughs. So if you're thinking about this and you're like, okay, we might do this over the summer or we might do this in the fall, you can apply now, get access to that curriculum, meet with your specialist, just get acquainted with the material yourself, and then you can start your club sessions really whenever you feel ready and whenever feels like a good time of year. So rest assured you have a lot of support from Girls Who Code because we want to make this as easy and seamless to implement as possible. As an added bonus, we give eligible clubs free swag. I love getting pictures from clubs of all of them in their Girls Who Code shirts with their facilitator. It's really, really heartwarming, and I think adds to the experience of sisterhood a bit, where the students feel like they're part of a team. So once you've enrolled your club members on our learning platform, that Girls Who Code HQ, each member is eligible to receive a free Girls Who Code swag pack, which includes t-shirt, notebook, and stickers. And because Indiana State Library is a community partner of Girls Who Codes, all of your clubs are considered partner affiliated, any club that is started in this network. So we will also give tote bags for all of your club members as just like an extra thank you, because we're so glad to be partnered with this network and we're excited to see multiple clubs potentially launch across different libraries. So that's just an added bonus for any club that gets started as part of this network. So of course, it's one thing for me to tell you and keep telling you about the impact of our club's programs on students, but it's another thing to hear directly from our program participants. So I'm going to share another quick video where club participants who joined us last year talk about their experience with the program. So let's hear what they have to say.
Participating in Girls Who Code has helped me take away like the fear of like computer science from like this like abstract concept to actually something that's easy to do, and not easy every time, but something that's like feasible and like a step-by-step process. Yes.
I think having that like more relaxed environment where people can just like gather and like work on what they want to work on and just talk with each other in the process really creates like a really conducive environment for learning.
Yeah, I think the club built a really strong community in our school, and like everyone in the club hangs out with each other outside of school, and we help each other with assignments, not even for computer science. Sometimes it's for like other subjects as well. So.
Being in a club that is just only all girls who all want to work on the same projects or just pursue the same computer science, it just makes me feel more motivated to want to pursue computer science in the future.
I love the student who corrects herself and says it's not easy every time, because I think that is like very telling, and I think a really common feedback that we get, it's not necessarily that they're like, that was easy, but they were like, that was fun, or that was challenging in a way that made me grow. And a lot of students walk out of these club experiences with just new friends who have similar interests, and that's always really exciting for them as well. So with that, let's talk about what exactly you need to do to get a club started at your library. The first thing to do, and I'm going to throw the link in the chat, is go to girlswhocode.com/clubsapply. That is where you can see the application. I should note that because the application is on that HQ website, our learning platform, it means that you'll have to create a quick account with your email address. By creating an account, just taking that first step, you are not applying to start a club. In fact, you are getting a preview of the curriculum that you can look over, review, share with someone else if it's a decision that has to be made with other folks at your library, and there's no commitment. All you've done is unlock a preview of the curriculum. So I would encourage anyone who's a little bit interested to do that today, because you can get access to that right now on this call, or if you're watching at the recording, you can get access to that right now. The next step would be to actually submit that club's application, which is on that HQ website, and you'll access it easily. And that'll just ask you who you are, where you plan to start the club, and which grade level you plan to serve. Now, you are more than welcome, as a library especially who serves students and folks of all ages, to start a 3rd through 5th grade and a 6th through 12th grade club. That's no problem. And then you'll have access to both curriculum depending on the interest of kids who come into the library. I want to note one thing about the club application. There is a question that I'll ask you: are you affiliated with any of Girls Who Code's community partners? And that's where you can choose Indiana State Library from a drop-down menu. And that is how we all keep track of how many clubs are starting in this network. And the benefit of that really is, one, to make sure we send you those tote bags to know that you are part of this network and a community partner affiliated club. But second to that, and more importantly, we can make sure to make connections between different libraries. If they, if you're reaching out to us and just want to say, hey, I'd love to know if anyone else, started a club or get tips or want to talk to anyone, we're happy to make those connections as well. So it is really helpful if you just make sure to affiliate when you apply. No worries if you forget or if you don't see that question. You are more than welcome to email me afterwards, and I can do that on the back end. So we can make sure that your club is part of this network whenever you get it started. And again, like I said, I just want to reiterate, if you apply today, you don't have to start meeting until whenever it makes sense for you. So on the application, there's another question that says, when do you plan to start club sessions? I don't know how many of you are interested in doing or have some sort of STEM programming goals for this summer, but I think this could be a fantastic curriculum to use for any day camps or anything where students are already at the library for other programming. But if not, and it feels like this would actually be something you'd want to do throughout the academic year, you're more than welcome to indicate that you will get started, in the fall or in the spring. That's up to you. But I just recommend getting access to that curriculum early so you can share. And finally, the last and maybe most important thing I can mention is that another benefit of starting a club and having 3 or more members is that you're not just eligible for free t-shirts and those little swag packs, but you are eligible for a club fund. So a club fund is up to $300 of Amazon Wish fulfillment. So if you want to launch this club in the fall, you will get access to a club fund, and you basically just need to fill out an Amazon wish list, and we will purchase and send you all of the materials that you put on your wish list up to $300. And that's per club. So if you start at 3rd through 5th and a 6th through 12th grade, you will have, a club fund for each. And that fund is really just designed for you to buy whatever makes this experience better for the students who are coming. So if you want to just buy snacks and that helps you bring, kids to the library, that's totally fine. We see a lot of folks use it for just after school snacks. If you want to buy something like hardware or robotics kits, and if your students are really interested in something in particular, you can feel free to use it for that. You can also purchase multiple copies of those Girls Who Code books so that you can just have them in your library as well. So that club fund is really for you to make sure that this is not something where you have to make any out-of-pocket costs, and certainly not something where you have to think hard about buying supplementary material. So I hope that's also helpful to just make it a easy program to implement. So I'm going to leave this slide up for folks who either want to scan that QR code or go to the website directly, but I have come to the end of the content that I wanted to share with all. I really appreciate your attention. I know it's a lot of program logistics and nitty gritty, so I am, one, more than happy to take questions now, but two, also more than happy to be reached out to and have a separate call with you if you want to ask some more questions. So thank you for your time, and feel free to ask questions now.
Great. Looks like we do have one in the chat, but I just want to let everyone know really quickly, I've put the link, and we'll continue to post the link for the LEU request form. That's if you need a library education unit certificate, fill that form out, and I will send it to you. But yeah, do you see the question from Amanda?
I do, Amanda, and I appreciate you raising this because it's a question we get a lot. If you were looking at that map that I shared, the link, I'll share it again, of where our Girls Who Code clubs are, I think unsurprisingly, you'll see that a lot of Girls Who Code clubs across the country are in like major cities and tied to like tech hubs. So it's kind of like where you might expect they would be, but we are really committed to trying to expand these clubs' presence to places where, one, are rural, two, there may not be as much computer science education. So I would say, as a tip for gauging community interest, I do think that it is almost better to just launch the club, because you can use your first session to determine what folks are interested in and how to organize it, right? I think part of what can be difficult when you are, yes, a library site where it's not like this regular group of students every day like they do at a school, is that you're not sure, how much time people want to commit and things like that. So we really recommend advertising, and we have resources in HQ that are called student recruitment resources. So flyers and things like that that you can share out, to spread the word. And then I would say just have a date and say first club meeting then, or you can advertise it however you'd like, if it feels more like an event and you're not calling it a club necessarily. And then let students come, see who's there, and use that first meeting to talk about what you plan to do, and maybe showing them the curriculum. But then they're gauging interest in, like, should we do this weekly? Should we do this virtually? Whatever, feels right. I think that first meeting is often when facilitators come back to us and say, okay, actually people want to do it differently. Is that okay? And we almost always say yes, because the point of it is really just to make it work for you. So I would say just have a meeting and gauge interest then. And then another option is to maybe work with a local school, like see if there's something that you can do there where it's like, hey, do you have some sort of club programming that you're already doing? Can you help advertise for this? We'd love to supplement what you have going on. So I also would say, like, knowing the landscape a little bit and what the public school district does in terms of CS education can be helpful, and you can, head people over to you. So I hope that's helpful. I see another question. Okay, Anne-Marie, you saw that there was a 6th through 12th club at a local high school. Yes, so all the clubs that are listed on the website, when you are filling out the club application, you're asked, like, do you want to be publicly listed and your contact information available? So if the email is there, then you are welcome to contact them. If it's not, we might need to reach out to them and say, like, hey, someone is interested in talking to you. Is that okay? It might also mean that the club is just like not active right now, if there's not a contact information associated with it. I think right now, this time of year is typically a transitionary period where a lot of clubs have ended and might pause over the summer and start up again. So it's also possible that if you check back later, the contact information will be there because they're all geared up again. So feel free to email me. I'll go to that slide where I had my email. There we go, so that I can help facilitate if anything. I see another question from Liz. Patrons come to our programs and sibling sets if I were to run this club. So I see your question is about like the repetition in the curriculum. So I will say that it stays fundamentally the same year after year, like the structure certainly, but also like the lesson plans are kind of similar because the coding languages are the same. We do try to refresh it every year with a few new activities here and there, but I would say if you strictly go through the whole curriculum one year and go through it the next year at the 6th through 12th grade level, I think there's enough content where, yes, you might not have even gotten to everything the first year and there's more. But for the younger curriculum, or for the curriculum for the younger students, it might feel a little bit repetitive in that sense. So I would say just like take a look at it and see how you feel about it. And then other times we have folks do things like, a session A, a session B, and then that way they kind of get to meet with a lot of different students, but offer it in a different way. Ginger, you said one of my programmers just put her in my store and started telling her about this, and she said she has to watch the recording. I love that. I love that it's not a question and it's just feedback. I'm really glad that was the case. Like I said, the recording will be up. I'll share a copy of the slide deck, but definitely just feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to talk to folks individually about getting started. I know there's a lot to think about and it doesn't all come to mind right away. So I would stress just either starting an account so you have a preview today, and then you can share it with everyone at your library who needs to either like sign off or just kind of be involved.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kibret. I don't see any other questions right now. So this might be a good time to go ahead and stop the recording. So I'm going to do that. Thanks to anyone watching the recording in the future. And yeah, let's